Good afternoon, students. Uh, in our previous class, you have seen that how the integration happened, and now the how the uh, great tradition understand got down to for the negotiation with the negotiated with little traditions. Little traditions means I am talking to you that the traditions and the religions, okay, adopted or they grasped at a local level. Understand? So now, as a whole, the Brahmanism or Brahminical god or Hindu and chief god and goddesses dominated or the widespread at a high level or as a on the high level, but the large scale the large scale god and goddesses in a different form associating with the great tradition associated with the prominent god and goddesses like the Vishnu and the Shiva, understand, and Parvati and the Durga, Parvati, and the Lakshmi, understand, associated with these prominent god, Hindu god and goddesses, understand, the local god and goddesses and their different forms were forms were different forms were made and the worship in the different form. So this and the Brahmanism and the new text began in the Hinduism. New text began to be the composed in the very in a very easy Sanskrit, simple Sanskrit. Why? Because targeting the masses, targeting the convenience of the language convenience of the masses. They could easily understand the language. On the other hand, the Brahmins and the in the Brahmins they also accepted the readings of these readings or touching of these scriptures of these religious scriptures by the whether by the women or the Sudra, they were also allowed and taken made associated with the Hindu religion and the Hindu cult. Understand? So this was the trend which was the changing very fast. Understand? And very rapidly coming. Or moreover, on the other hand, we have also seen that how the Buddhism and the Tantricism, Tantrism was entering into the Buddhism, and Buddhism was now engripped by the Tantricism, and it was the Buddhism was also coming closer to the Hinduism and coming closer at a local level to the Hinduism. Okay, by the adopting the Tantrism. So now we have seen that. So this was a religious integration of the. I have already told that how the different cults now different cults now integrated together at the greater level, at the wide levels, and as well as the local level. These local levels, god and goddesses, having the different forms, were associated, resembled, and incorporated with the Vishnu and the Shiva, who were the very much prominent, and the and the very widely and broadly revered. Understand? In the previous classes, I have students learn out. Next, now here we on the one hand we have seen that the very closeness or the assimilation of the local and the assimilation and the closeness. But we are going to focus here the difference and the conflict. Understand? Despite that, how the local traditions, little traditions, had the conflict and they challenged the greater traditions. Means challenge the main deities challenge the Brahminism. I can say the challenge the Brahminical or the Vedic authority. How they challenged, understand in this, and how they got into the conflict. Although there was a hidden conflict, a dormant conflict, a hidden, understand, conflict between the Jainism, conflict and the Buddhism. Conflict was between the amongst the Hinduism, amongst the Hindu cults. There was a conflict and different cults having. But despite that, okay, they had the certain extent, they had the closeness also. But here on this topic, we are going to I am going to throw the focus. Particularly, I am going to bring you the very close to the difference and the conflict. First thing, often associated with the goddess, were forms of worship. Many goddesses were forms of worship that were classified as the tantric. Tantric, particularly, they focused on the goddess. The main deities, understand, they focused on the goddess, or tantric practices were widespread in the several parts of the subcontinent. Tantricism spread in the different parts of our country, understand, and they were open to women and the men both. Tantricism also was not based on the any birth. The Tantricism opened its door for the men and women. Understand? Tantricism, Tantricism was against the caste system, against the superiority on the basis of the birth. Understand? Or this Tantricism, or it was a spread, and they were open to men, and practitioners often ignored differences of the caste. Tantricism never taken into the account of the caste distinction, and moreover classed within the ritual context. Within their ritual context, whatever that they perform the rituals, understand, under these rituals, they did not allow the caste distinction and the class distinction. Understand? It means that they welcome to the all to all, irrespective of the caste, or irrespective of the creeds. They welcome to the all, and moreover, open to women and men rituals. Many of these ideas influenced the Saivism, and now we know that Tantricism was the very close to the Saivism. It now hugely or immensely influenced the Saivism. It means that in the Saivism, many branches in the Saivism, many cult in the Saivism now and cult emerged. Understand? That was the based on the Tantricism. Very close. Understand? Based on the Tantricism, and moreover, Saivism and as well as Buddhism was also a Vajrayana. I have already mentioned that how in the Buddhism Vajrayana was the influenced by the Tantricism. Many rituals the Vajrayanis now perform were the close to the Tantricism. So the Tantricism immensely influenced the Saivism. Saiva cults, many Saiva cults, they are the Tantric and followed the Tantricism. Kapaliks, understand, and other branches are, many of the branches are in the Saivism, and they are the based on the Tantricism. Similarly, the Buddhism, Vajrayana, we have the burning examples we have. So this Tantricism now cast the impact, especially or particularly Tantricism was practiced in the eastern India. Understand, in Bengal or the some parts of the Bihar we can say, and the Assam and the northern and the southern parts of the subcontinent. In the Seven Sisters, in the Assam and the other its adjoining area, the Tantricism was very much, or this Tantricism was hugely or immensely its impact was from the Tibetans. From the Tibet, this Tantricism was usually came from the Tibet. Understand? So this and the southern India also influenced by this tantricism in our country. Okay, so now we see that, and all these somewhat divergent. Understand? These all were the very different and even disparate beliefs and practices would come to be the classified and Hindu. Or they were the different, disparate or beliefs and practices. Even then, they were enshrined or invoked or incorporated. We can say incorporated in the Hindu over the course of next millennium. These all were, despite having their different divergence or their different disparate disparation or as well as the different rituals. Even then, all over the further the millenniums, they remain as a part of Hinduism, as a part of Hinduism. Despite that, and moreover, the divergence is perhaps most stark if we compare the Vedic or Puranic tradition. This is the very sharp when we compare the Vedic and the Puranic traditions, where this divergent becomes the very evident and very obvious. Understand? And the very deep here, Puranic and the Vedic traditions, Puranic or Vedic traditions. Here we are the principal deities of the marginal principal deities of the Vedic pantheons. Vedic pantheon pantheons, the main figures were what? Agni, Indra, or Soma. Agni, although there were so many god and goddess, Aditi, Usha, Varun, Aswin, there are so many god and goddesses. But amongst the Vedic god pantheons, we have the three very important: Agni, Indra, or Soma. Understand? These pantheons, Agni, Soma, becomes the marginal figure, or this Agni, Soma, which were the very prominent figure, now became the marginal figure. Understand? Undermined gradually. Understand? These figures were undermined and Vedic undermined, rarely visible in textual or the even is now not visible. Agni, Indra, or Soma, most glittering or the very very evidently just appeared in the Vedic text. But now, understand, they now became the marginal. Their worships became the of no importance. Understand? They were just a marginalized figure or visible in even in the not in textual or in the visual representation. No Indra, no Agni, no. They were became the laid aside. Understand? Laid aside this god, and new gods appears. And while we can catch a glimpses of Vishnu, although but the glimpse of and a glimpse of the Vishnu and the Shiva and goddess in the Vedic mantra, and we have glimpses of the Vedic mantra. We find the glimpse of the Vishnu or Shiva or goddess in the Vedic mantra. These have little in common with the elaborate Puranic mythologies, और इनका जो लिटिल इनमें कम्युनिटीज जो है पुरानिक मैथोलॉजीज में बहुत कम है. जो पुरानिक मैथोलॉजीज हैं, जो उस वक्त के विष्णु और शिवा, जो आज के विष्णु और शिवा, तो इसमें बहुत सी जो कम्युनिटीज है, जो कॉमन चीज है, वो बहुत ज्यादा एलोबरेट नहीं है, बहुत एलोबरेट नहीं है, बहुत ज्यादा नहीं है. अंडरस्टैंड? दिस इज अ वेरी लिटिल बिट. तो हम क्रिस क्रॉस कह सकते हैं. अंडरस्टैंड? this became the crisscross. Okay, and moreover, however, in spite of these obvious discrepancies, despite the obvious discrepancies, the Vedas continue to be the revered as a authoritative. कि this discrepancies आया, लेकिन इसके बाद भी despite that Veda remained as a authoritative or revered as a authoritative text. फिर भी वेद को completely it was not undermined. Completely Veda remained as a authoritative to be the continued to be the revered authoritative. Understand Vedas still the Vedas had its reverence in the society, and not surprisingly there were sometimes conflicts as well. Or here we see that there were the sometimes conflict among these changing in the transition phase tha ye. This was a just like the transition phase of the beliefs in the god and goddesses. तो इस फेज में we see sometimes conflicts also. जैसे those who valued the Vedic tradition often condemned those people who valued the Vedic traditions को अभी भी values they were giving, condemned the practices that went beyond the closely regulated. They condemned those practices practice that went beyond the closely regulated contact with the divine through the performance of sacrifices or the precisely chanted mantra. इन्होंने precisely chanted mantra और जो चीजें beyond the divine से जो अलग था something went differently, तो इसका इन्होंने condemn किया. जो वैदिक पैथेंस को या वैदिक टेक्स्ट्स को they were now understanding or the now still they were believing in the Vedas, value of the Vedas. Or now, on the other hand, those engaged in the tantric practices, what was their attitude towards the Vedas? Towards the frequently ignored the authority of Vedas. On the other hand, those who went beyond the Vedas, divinity of the Vedas, understand, or the value of the Vedas, ignored the value of the Vedas. So those who had the still belief in the values of the Vedas, they condemned strongly, we can say in another word, and they condemned strongly to the Tantrics. But on the other hand, the Tantricism now strongly ignored the authority of the Vedas. Still, okay, there was a hidden conflict among. Also, devotees often tended to project their chosen deities, and these devotees were in the process and in the progress to projecting their own chosen deities. Either they had the chosen deities like the Vishnu, some Vishnu, some Shiva, as a supreme they were engaged in projecting their Vishnu and their Shiva as a highest and as a supreme being, highest supreme being. And on the other hand, relations with the other traditions such as Buddhism and Jainism. Between the Buddhism, what the relation was between the Buddhism? The Buddhism and Jainism are in also conflict, and there are often the fraught with tension, if not open conflict. But both have the engraved with the tensions. They had the tension, Buddhism and Jainism, but never expressed their open conflicts. A hidden conflict underwent or hidden conflict. Understand? Conflict, but not it came up as the open conflict. Understand? The Buddhism and Jainism is also in conflict. The Vedic traditions and the Tantricism was also in conflict. Understand? And also in conflict, but and having the certain extent, these were the now Vedas authorities was still governing and having the reverence also, but with the conflicts between the Tantricism and the Vedic traditions. Here, so that I am talking the difference and conflicts. Understand? Did you understand? Different and conflicts. So further, we can say that here the traditions devotion of bhakti need to be located within the context. This context. Let's see the bhakti. We have the devotion or the bhakti need to be located within this context. The where is bhakti? Understand? In this context, The need to be the devotional worship had a long history. What about the devotional history? Bhakti? Bhakti is what? Bhakti is the devotion. Bhakti means the devotion. Now the assimilates, now the the fusion of the bhaktas, fusion of the bhaktas with the feet of the God. This is the bhakti and devotion. Means your love, love, your devotion should be should be now infused and should be assimilated with the in the feet of the revered God and revered and your chosen deities. This is the bhakti. This is the bhakti. Forget everything. If no, a acoustic, a union between the individual and its chosen deities. Understand? If unison or that unison is the as the highest point of the spirituality. This is the highest point of the spirituality. Understand? So this bhakti, so this tradition of the bhakti is not new. It's had the I am talking 8th century to the 18th century, but it's had the background very long because the reverence to the God and assimilations with the God. This is the bhakti. The let's see the tradition of devotion of bhakti need to be the here. Devotional worship had a long history. Devotional devotional worship had a very long history of almost the thousands of years before the period we are the considering. During this time, expression of devotion ranged. Your expression of the devotion ranged from the routine worship of deities within the temples or ecstatic. I am talking ecstatic adoration where devotees attained a trance-like state. I am talking about that in the feet of your chosen deities. Your your point is what? Within the temples where adoration, where the devotees attained a trance-like state, a constant, a status quo, a constant trance-like state the devotees now realized and feels there. And this is the actual bhakti, nothing else, only the chosen gods. And it has the many way we shall study further. Now, here, the singing, chanting of devotional composition, singing, chanting of the devotional composition was often a part of such modes of worship, singing, dancing. Now the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, understand, of the Bengal, he chosen the dancing, singing, and devoted himself before, devoted himself, singing, dancing. Meera, singing, dancing. She forget everything, and now they now brought themselves as a state, trance state, where a assimilation, that what a state, a union or unison and assimilations of your heart, mind, soul with your chosen deities, your feet, assimilates yourself to the feet. That is the highest point of the bhakti, highest point of the bhakti. So this and the bhakti, through the bhakti, this devotion is created by the bhaktas. The bhakti depend on the love, devotion, and in the bhakti we know very well. No caste, no creed, no opens door for all, for all. opens the doors. So here such a mode of worship, the bhakta, this was particularly true of the Vaishnava and the Saiva sects, and this was particularly true of the Vaishnava and the Saiva sects. This kind of the bhakti and the devotion was the uh, amongst the Vaishnava and so. Next, the poems of the prayer. We shall, and particularly the writers of this book, understand the writings. The theme of this book is particularly focus on the tradition of the bhakti. What the traditions happened, the poems of the prayers. Poem. Here we see in course of evolution of these forms of worship, the bhakti is the result. These poems and chanting or singing is the result of the long tradition of the bhakti, and the chanting, singing, composition in the composition sang door to door, temples to temple, or within the temple. These are the changed form of the bhakti, tradition of the bhakti. So now here, in many instances, poet saints emerged. Poet saints emerged as a leader around whom poet saints emerged as a leader around whom developed a community of devotees. Poet saint was the chief or the was a main heads and the chief. Understand? Around him, poet saints, poet, he was a saint. Around him, the devotees, understand, encircled. Understand? Or these devotees. Further, while Brahmanas remained important intermediaries. Now, in the earlier we see that the Brahman was just like the intermediaries between the gods and the believers, between the god and devotees. The Brahman was the priest was the played as a role of mediators. Intermediaries, the Brahman was that between gods and the devotees in several forms of the bhakti. In several forms of the bhakti, Brahman was the mediators now, and these traditions also accommodated, or this bhakti tradition also accommodated the and acknowledged women and the lower caste. I am emphasizing on this point particularly. Women and lower caste who had been for the thousands of the years ousted from this cult and the ousted from the worship and the devotion. So they were included. These two elements you must keep in your mind. The outcast, the lower caste and the women categories considered ineligible for the liberation within the orthodox Brahminical framework, and the women and the lower caste who had been the ousted and not be the eligible for getting the salvation, and in this orthodox Brahminical framework. But now in the liberal framework of the bhakti, they had been their inclusion happened. The women's and the lower caste inclusion was the very important. But earlier, when the Brahman was intermediaries, their inclusion was not respected and not allowed anywhere. Understand? So now we see that we are going to see categories considered ineligible. What also characterized traditions of the bhakti was a remarkable diversities. What also characterized traditions of the bhakti was a remarkable diversities. Here is the diversity I am talking of that. Diversities means the language, irrespective of language, caste, creed, status, position. Okay, that was not considered. Irrespective of that, diverse people, culture, having their culture, diversity was assimilated in the bhakti cults, in the bhakti cults. Did you understand? So now here I am talking that at the different level, historians of the religion often classify the bhakti tradition into two broad categories. Say, historians in their investigation, पहला शगुन, सगुन, एक form. Their deities, chosen deities, must have the form. Understand their root and form, attributes. And the second, nirgun, without the attributes. Understand? Nirgun, formless. Two, shagun and nirgun. Shagun, attributes, form. Nirgun means no form, formless. Understand? Two kind of the traditions emerge. The former, the shaguna, included the tradition that focus on worship of specific deities, जिसका रूप होता था, प्रतिरूप होता जैसे विष्णु हो या शिव. Rupa and the deities such as the Shiva and the Vishnu, his and their are whether their avatars or the incarnation, and form of the goddess in the form of goddess Devi, often conceptualized in the anthropomorphic forms. They were categorized. Next, Nirgun Bhakti, on the other hand, was worship of an abstract form of the god. Nirguna, formless. So Nirgun and Shagun, the later on we shall discuss it again. And our starting, I will start from the Nirgun and Shagun in the next period. Understand? Thank you very much for attending the class.